Hi guys, welcome back. So in my last video, I read a book to you and I talked to you about conflict resolution. Remember, a conflict is a problem between people, and we all experience conflicts sometimes. I also taught you about how talking out the problem is one of the best ways to solve a conflict. It really is. It is awesome. Words can be magic. Well, today, I wanted to teach you a few other things that you can do when you're dealing with a conflict. Believe it or not, you actually have a lot of choices to pick from to solve a conflict in a peaceful way, which is why we will be making a wheel of choice. So this is a really fun craft. Also, it's cool because look at this. Isn't that awesome? I love it. It spins. But it's also awesome because this can help you when you're in the middle of a conflict decide what you're going to do. I know in one of my other videos, I talked to you about how when we're really angry or upset, it can be hard to think straight. It can be really hard to make those safe, good, peaceful choices when you're in the middle of a problem. So this is really helpful because when you're upset, when it's hard for you to make those good choices, you can just look at this and this will remind you of all the different choices that you have in solving conflicts. So this is how it works. When you're dealing with that conflict, you're not sure what to do, you can just pick up your wheel of choice and you can scroll through it to see the different choices and then pick the one that you think will work best, because some choices will work really well for one situation and other choices might work a little bit better for a different type of situation. So the first choice we have is wait and cool off. Sometimes when there's a conflict going on and you are super angry, it might not be the right time to talk it out. Talking it out might turn into yelling it out really quickly. So first you might need to wait, cool down a little bit. The next choice we have here is share and take turns. I want that iPad first. No, I wanted that book first. This is a great choice and that will take care of that type of problem really quickly. And here's one of my favorites, talk it out. See, we even have a little talking bubble. It says, I feel, then you would tell them how you feel when you, and then you would tell them what they did that you didn't like. That's called an I message. Another choice you have is a compromise. A compromise is when you both work on a solution that works for both of you. It's a win-win situation. I'm going to teach you more about compromising in a different video a little bit later on. Another solution we have is ask for help. Sometimes even if you try really hard to solve a problem, it still might be a little bit too big. You might need to ask for help. Also, if someone is trying to do something dangerous like hurt you or take your stuff, again, that's another really good time that you should go and you should ask for help from an adult. Another choice you have is walk away. So this is a great one for when maybe there's something around you that's kind of annoying you. Like maybe somebody is next to you and they keep tapping that pen or humming a song you don't like. Walk away. Instead of staying there and getting angrier and a big conflict happening, just walk away from the problem. Also, this is a good one when maybe you tried talking out the problem with someone, but they don't want to talk it out, and maybe they're trying to have you fight them. Instead of staying there, a good choice would be to walk away. Another choice you have is tell them to stop. If someone is bothering you or trying to hurt you or do something unkind to you, it is okay to say, stop doing that. Another choice we have is ignore it. So again, this is a good choice when it's a really small thing that they're doing that's bothering you, like maybe making a funny face or just, again, tapping that pen or humming that song. It's not really hurting you, it's just a little annoying. That would be a good time to ignore it. Now, if someone is doing something that's really unkind, or if someone is doing something that is hurting you or taking something away, like some of your stuff, I would not ignore it. Ignoring it is not a good choice for that. That's a time when you should go talk to a grown-up. And then we are back at wait and cool off. So you see, there's a lot of different choices on this wheel, and some work really well for some situations. Other situations might have some different choices that work well for them, but they are all in this wheel of choice. And I think that you're going to have a great time making it. All right, so before we get started, please make sure that you go to that grown-up in your house and get their permission to do this activity first. Once you've gotten their permission, then we can get started. So what you are going to need is some paper. I have two different colors here just because I like to make the outside kind of like a fun color, and then I keep the inside white because it's easier to color on, but it's up to you. You can make it whatever colors you want. Actually, another option that you can do is you can use paper plates. They're actually the perfect size. Unfortunately, I don't have any paper plates, so I'm using paper, but if you do, you are more than welcome to use paper plates. Because I'm using paper, I also have a small plate. I'm going to use this plate to help me trace and cut out my nice circle shape. If you're using a paper plate, you're not going to need this because it's already a circle. Another thing you will need is some scissors. Use kid scissors. If you don't have kid scissors, make sure that you talk to a grown-up first about using the big scissors, and then have a grown-up or an older brother or sister there with you just to make sure that we're all being safe. Another thing you're going to need is some crayons, markers, something to write with, something to decorate with. It's up to you what kind you use. Now, we need something to fasten the middle of our wheel so that it will spin. So a really great thing for that is actually this thing called a brad. It's a little tiny metal thing that you can stick in there. A lot of craft stores, or even the dollar store has it. I actually do not have one. So what I'm going to be using is pipe cleaners. I used a pipe cleaner for mine. If you don't have pipe cleaners, another thing that you can try is a paper clip. I can use it in the same way that I use the pipe cleaners. Actually, I do not have any paper clips either, but I use the pipe cleaner to make a paper clip so I can show you how you would use the paper clip. All right, so now I think that we have everything. We are ready to get started. I'm gonna move this stuff out of my working area just so that it's not all a mess. It's gonna be a lot easier to do things with more room. All right. So first, I'm gonna get out that outside paper, okay? I'm gonna put the outside paper down on a hard surface, and then I'm gonna take my plate, stick it right in the center, get some sort of writing utensil. I'm gonna use this marker, and we are going to trace around the plate to create that nice, perfect circle shape. And if you wanna freehand it, go for it, that's awesome. I personally am not good at making circles that are not all lumpy and bumpy, so I'm going to be using the plate. All right. Then we have our beautiful circle shape, see? There it is. Now I'm going to teach you a trick to cut out two circles at once. So what we're going to do is we're going to take the white paper, we're just going to stick it right behind the blue so it's perfectly lined up. Oops, like that. Then we're going to take our scissors, and I'm going to hold the paper tightly so that it doesn't move or shift around at all. And then I'm just going to cut out this blue circle, and at the same time it's going to cut out the white circle. So here we go. Just like this. And again, if you have the paper plate, you can completely skip this step. You already have that nice circle shape, so this is not necessary for you. Almost there. Perfect. Move these scrap papers out of the way to recycle them. So there we have our two circles that are exactly the same. How awesome is that? All right, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually set the outside circle to the side. We're not going to use that right now. We're going to work with the inside circle. So you might have noticed when I was spinning the wheel that everything was divided. See, there's the dividing line into 8 sections, and all the sections are the exact same size. So if I was to try to just draw that by myself, probably they wouldn't all be the same size. The lines would probably be a little bit crooked and wiggly. So I'm going to show you a trick that will make the lines really straight and everything will be divided equally. So the first thing we're going to do with our white circle is we are going to fold it neatly in half. Folding it. We're really folding it so I have that nice sharp line. Just like that. Then I'm going to fold this in half. Folding it again, really pushing down to create those nice sharp lines like that. Now I'm going to do it one more time. So carefully, it's probably getting a little bit trickier because the paper's getting a little bit thicker. But we're going to carefully fold it in half. Really pushing down those edges, just like that. Now we can unfold it. And now, look at that. We have 8 perfectly equal, perfectly straight lined segments. So now what we need to do is we're just going to get something to write with, and we are going to trace over those lines. Easy peasy. So I want my lines to be super straight, and like I mentioned, my lines tend to be really wiggly and bumpy. So I'm also going to be using something straight to help me for me to put it right on there so I can draw right next to it, and it will keep my lines nice and straight so they don't get bumpy. But you can use like a ruler, you could use a paper, like I'm using a paper, or you could just freehand it. We already created those lines as good guides for us, so it's up to you. So I'm lining up my paper right on that first line we created. I don't know if you can see it. So we're going to try our hardest to make sure that we are drawing on those creases in the paper, those lines that we just created in the paper. And as long as we stay on them, all of our segments should be pretty equal. That means they're all the same size. And all of our lines should be pretty nice and straight and neat. There we go. So I'm staying with those folds that we made. Okay. And one last one. I'm still sticking with those lines we made on the paper. All right, let me show you. Just like that. Look at that. Doesn't that look nice? So now we have our 8 sections for our 8 different choices. Now, if you don't like how this is a little bit bumpy because we folded it, the paper is a little bit bumpy right now, what you could do is you could put this actually between the pages in like a heavy book or under something heavy, and then you could let it sit there for a little while, and that will help it flatten out. But if it doesn't bother you, it's okay this way too. So there we go, we have our sections. Now we are going to write down our different choices. You can pick a marker, you can pick a pencil, a pen, a crayon, it's up to you. Okay, so one of the first choices we have is tell them to stop. So I'm going to write down, tell them to stop. This one is really important. Tell them to stop. That's being assertive. It is not okay for people to treat you unkindly or to hurt you. So tell them to stop. I'm going to go to the next section. Another choice we have is ignore it. I'm going to write down ignore it. Remember, ignore it is something that you would use for little problems where it's not really hurting you. If something is hurting you, you should definitely tell them to stop and go to a grown-up. Don't just ignore that. It's not okay for people to hurt you. The next segment is wait and cool off. Sometimes right after the problem started, you're feeling really mad. You try to talk about it right then, it might turn into an argument or a fight. Sometimes we need a little time to just calm down first. Then we have share and take turns. And share and take turns. I know that when I'm at school, a lot of the problems that I see are over, well, I had that first, oh, I really wanted that. A lot of problems come from that, but it's actually a pretty simple solution. You guys could share it. If it's something that's shareable, you could take turns. Hey, I'll use it first, then I'll give it to you when I'm done. Or another option that actually isn't on here is trading. If one person has one book and the other person has a different book, they can swap. That's called trading. Another choice we have is talk it out. I love that one. So just say, hey, I felt really sad or angry when you called me that name. So tell them how you feel and what exactly they did that made you feel that way. That's a great way to start to talk about the problem. That's called an I message. I'm going to talk to you more about I messages a little bit later on. And then there is compromise. Compromising is also great. So a compromise would be like, if you're on the playground with your friends and one of your friends is like, well, I really, really want to play on the playground equipment, but you really, 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 really want to play football. A compromise would be where you both kind of think about it and think, is there anything I'm willing to maybe give up? And you try to come up with an idea where both of you are okay with that. So maybe like playing tag. It still's running around like football, but maybe you can do it closer to the playground equipment like the other person. So it works for both people. That's a compromise. And then of course there is ask for help. It's great to try to solve problems yourself, but there are some problems that are a little bit too big. So that's when you would need to ask for help. Or again, if someone is hurting you or really, really bothering you, that's when you should go to a grown-up and ask for help. Or if you've tried the other solutions and they're not working, that's when you should ask for help. And then there is our last one, walk away. Walk away. I know sometimes I've seen some kids having a conflict and they'll try to talk it out, but that other person is not ready to talk it out. And that other person maybe is trying to get them to fight them. Instead of going into that fight, being disrespectful and unsafe and then probably getting in trouble, walk away. Walk away from them and then maybe even tell a grown-up about it. And maybe later on when they've had a chance to wait and cool off, then you can talk it out. So now we have all of our different choices. We have tell them to stop, walk away, ask for help, compromise, talk it out, share and take turns, wait and cool off, and ignore it. And then tell them to stop. So as you can see, I just wrote the words here, but you are definitely free to draw any pictures that you'd like. For mine, for walk away, I drew some shoes and a little arrow because they're walking away. For tell them to stop, I did a little stop sign. Ignore it, I wasn't really sure what to do for ignore it, so I just kind of made like a big red X, like you're not going to yell at it. Wait and cool off. This little boy, I don't know if you can tell, but he's actually belly breathing. See, he's got his hands on his belly. He's blowing the air out. And this one, I have some girls, they're sharing a book. Instead of fighting about it, they decided they're going to share it. Talk it out. I have a little word bubble that shows that someone's talking. Compromise, because it's an agreement. They agreed on something together. I have two people kind of shaking hands. Ask for help. I have like a little stick figure. He's asking for help from like, maybe it's his mom or his teacher. And there you go. So if you want to draw, go for it. That's awesome. And it doesn't need to be the same things I drew. If you can come up with something better for ignore it, go for it. I couldn't come up with anything good. But I'm not going to show you how to draw that all right now just because it took me a little while and you'd probably get bored if I sat here and drew that out. So by all means, draw on yours, decorate on yours. It will be beautiful. So we have the inside and we have the outside. So what we're going to do now is I am going to cut out that segment so you can see your choice. I have my scissors. Very carefully, I'm going to cut out my cut was a little bit bumpy just then. Told you I'm not very good at drawing or apparently cutting paper in straight lines. But that's okay, mistakes happen. So it's going to be like that, see? All right. So now, if you'd like on the outside, like I wrote wheel of choice, we can write wheel of choice. You can even write your name on it because it's yours. You can decorate it. You can make the writing all fancy and fun looking. I put some little polka dots in some of my letters. It's up to you. You can make the writing super colorful if you'd like. However you would like your wheel of choice to look. All right. Almost there. You're being super patient. Good job. And one more letter, almost done. Ta-da! Okay. There we have it. Perfect. And like I said, if you want to decorate it more, add some polka dots, add some swirls, add some stars, go for it. It's yours. Make it look however you want it to look. So now you're probably wondering, well, how are we going to connect them? We have both of the pieces, but they are not connected. They are not spinning. So now this is where we are going to use the pipe cleaner or the paper clip, or if you do have one of those little brads, that's what those little metal things are called, brads, that's when we are going to use them. I do not have them, so I am going to be using a piece of a pipe cleaner that I cut. About that big. It's kind of the size of like a little bit longer than a finger. So first, to put my pipe cleaner in, I'm going to have to punch a little hole in the middle. If you have a little hole puncher, you can use one. I do not have a hole puncher, so I'm going to use my scissors. This is something that you should have a grown-up do. You should not do this yourself. I don't want anyone to get poked or hurt, so please talk to an older brother or sister or a grown-up in your house. I'm going to take my scissors, and I'm just going to very carefully, very carefully, again, a grown-up or an older person should do this. Right in the middle, I'm going to poke a little hole. If I can do it. There we go. Just a little hole. See? All right. So now that I have my hole, I'm going to be putting the pipe cleaner right through the holes. Just like that. Until it's about the same amount on each side. So then what I did is I kind of take that pipe cleaner and I'm going to kind of twirl it around in a little flat spiral, making sure that that pointy end is pressed in so it's not going to poke anyone. See? Just like that. And then I do it on the back also. So I, again, twirl it around in that flat spiral. It'll be a little bit easier if I do it flat. There we go. Make sure that end is completely poked in. We don't want it sticking out. We don't want anyone getting poked. Just like that. And see, now I can spin them and they are stuck together. Just like that. So that's why I use the pipe cleaner. Now, if you are using the paper clip, I will show you how to use the paper clip. So I'm going to actually take off this pipe cleaner so I can show you. Now, like I said before, I do not have a paper clip, so I actually made my pipe cleaner kind of into a paper clip so I can show you how to use it. So again, paper clips are pretty pointy. This is something that probably should not be done by a kid. Please talk to that grown up in your house or the older brother or sister, have them do this with you. So if they're using the paper clip, this is the paper clip shape, they're going to bend that part that's kind of out by itself so that it's sticking out straight. We're going to keep this part curled up, just like that. And then we're going to take the part that is straight and we're going to poke it through both of those holes. Make sure they're lined up, just like that. There we go. So that part that is curled, you can just lay it down flat, like that, see? And then the back, it's gonna have that paper clip sticking through. If we left it like that, that would not be safe. So what we're going to do is, just like with the pipe cleaner, we're gonna kind of bend that. We're gonna curl that flat on the paper, just so that there's no pokey parts sticking out so that everyone is safe. Like that. See how I just kind of bent it down flat, just like how the front part is? And again, now that we have that paper clip in there, we can, oops, there we go. We can spin it around just like that, see? Alrighty. There you have it. That is the wheel of choice. So remember, this is something that can help you when you're dealing with a conflict. I like to put the wheel of choice near where the most conflicts happen. So if a lot of conflicts are happening, maybe, since we're all at home right now, maybe in your living room, because you and your brothers sisters keep having conflicts over who should watch the TV, who gets to pick what to watch. Maybe this would be, maybe that would be a great place to put your wheel of choice, so that when you're having that conflict, you can go right over to it. You can spin until you find a choice that will work really well, like compromise. Maybe you guys can both think of a TV show together to watch. So there you have it. That is your wheel of choice. I hope you had fun. I hope you enjoyed. I hope you think it's as cool as I think it is. And I hope that it helps you resolve a conflict next time you have one. All right, guys. Bye-bye.